Good morning. Welcome to NewsWare's Trade Talk for Thursday, April 9th. Okay, let's get into the action. Take a look at the S&Ps this morning. We're actually lower by 0.27%. We were down hard earlier, like 0.5%. So, the fact that we actually pulled back and we're now only down 0.26, that's actually positive. We're happy about that. But overall, global markets are retreating because of the uncertainty surrounding this U.S.-Iranian ceasefire deal. The agreement does appear to be holding, though, because overnight you didn't see any overnight strikes, and that's positive. Iran is claiming that the U.S. violated because Israel continues to do an offensive in Lebanon. The U.S. says that's not part of the agreement, and it doesn't appear that it is part of the agreement, but the Pakistani Prime Minister said it was, so there's a lot of questions. I read some stories on how it's due to the conversion of the agreement from Iran's Farsi language to English, but we'll have to see. It'll be cleared up later today. But right now, the Strait of Hormuz continues to remain virtually closed. So, until that gets open, we're going to continue to see, volatility in this market. In the pre-market, we are seeing energy stocks move higher. They're showing gains, where bank stocks, financials are weakening. On the economic front, we're waiting this morning's jobless claims data tomorrow. Though tomorrow we get the March CPI data. Now that's a key measure of inflation, and that is what the market will actually react to, because inflation is likely to tick higher because of the issues with oil prices moving higher. In corporate developments, Amazon came out with their letters to shareholders, where CEO Jassy indicated that capex are expected to be a little bit lower in 2026. I think he said $200 billion. What else we got? Disney planning layoffs. Costco reported positive sales data for March. On the earnings front, Star Surgical, STAA, they pre-reported strong earnings and stocks trading higher. Constellation Brands, STZ, and APLD, they're moving lower after their reports. After the bell today, we get WD-40, WDFC. They're expected to report their earnings. Moving overseas, taking a look at what's happening in Europe. The DAX is down 1.03%. It was down like 1.5%. So, it's the fact that it's only down 248 points. That's actually, better, because it's that initial weakness has been pulled back. The FTSE's down 0.24%. It's been down all day, but that's an index that's very heavily weighted towards oil, and energy stocks are trading higher. So it's only down a fraction this morning, but we are seeing weakness in travel and financial stocks, though. CAC in Paris down 0.66%. It was down almost a point, but they are seeing weakness in luxury and aerospace, industrials, banking stocks. It really comes down to the fact that Iran has moved to broaden the peace accord to include Lebanon, where Israel recently conducted a major offensive. And they're doing this at a time where they're avoiding the U.S. strikes, and effectively keeping the Strait of Hormuz closed. So, for Iran, they made a lot of good moves here in their efforts to really hammer out a peace agreement. And what do they really want from this peace agreement? They want the ability to charge tolls in the Strait of Hormuz. That would give them a financial incentive, and that would be a real big uptick for the country. Moving over to Asia last night, realistically, we saw losses across the board in Asia as well. The Nikkei fell 0.73%, with weaknesses in autos and financial stocks. The Hang Seng fell 140 points, or 0.54%. Financial stocks were under pressure. And in China, the market was down 0.72%. And again, the staples, financial shares led the declines. Main issue here, of course, the U.S.-Iranian ceasefire agreement. Questions around it are really weighing on the sentiment for the markets overall. And then we're looking at oil, and oil is upticking this morning. We are seeing oil trade higher. WTI is at $97.77. WTI is at $90.79, where Brent is at $97.77. That's up, about 4%. WTI is up 4.67%. Brent is up 3.9%. Iran continues to, limit the traffic through the strait. The peace accord remains fragile, but there are direct talks between the U.S. and Iran scheduled for Saturday, which is actually Friday night, our time. And, face the facts, Trump wants this conflict to end. Iran is looking to claim ownership of the Strait of Hormuz so it can charge tolls. Essentially, they have stalled the maritime traffic as they attempt to, get it in writing from the U.S. that they have the right to control the Strait of Hormuz. So, as soon as that happens, they're going to be opening up that strait and collecting that money. Okay, now we're moving over to earnings, and we're looking at STZ, Sam Tom Zebra. I mean, listen, the stock delivered positive earnings. I mean, no question. They came in at $1.90 versus estimates of $1.72, which was a beat. They also had strong sales numbers, but they lowered guidance. And, guidance is one of those things you can't predict. Stock is trading lower by 1.38% this morning. Upcoming earnings after the bell today, you got WD-40, WDFC, EPS is $1.39. Expected move is 9.95%. Now we got to move on to the economic reports hitting the tape this morning. And we're starting off with jobless claims, which are coming out at 8:30 a.m. Expectations around 210K claims. Now, this is a consistent consensus estimate for the recent weeks. It's always coming in at 210K. Last week we did have a surprise because the number came in at 202K. Kind of reinforces the view that layoffs are under control. They're not getting crazy. The labor market is pretty stable. But also at 8:30 a.m. we'll get the GDP numbers. They're expected to come in flat to what they were last quarter. PCI, personal income and outliers, PCE. But this is for February. That's also due out this morning. Okay, now we're moving over to stocks that are moving the tape this morning. And you know what? I gotta start off with Amazon, because that letter, about the CapEx being around $200 billion for 2026, that's positive. He noted that the pharmacy unit's going to carry Lilly's latest weight loss drug, and he said the cloud business revenue was over $15 billion in Q1. Very positive letter. You're looking at Amazon this morning, and the stock is trading higher. It's up about 1%. What else do we have here? Meta's showing some gains this morning. Stock's trading higher after releasing its first AI model in more than a year. Tesla's trading a little lower, but there's a report out there they're developing smaller and cheaper EVs, which would be positive. In terms of Dow Jones 30 stocks, we've got to talk about Disney. They're planning to make sizable layoffs for up to 1,000 positions. Apple, their foldable iPhone is still on track for a launch this fall. That's positive. In terms of M&A news, we've got to start off with Gilead, ticker GALD. They're going to be acquiring Tubulis, a private German biotech firm, to build up its oncology portfolio. Dynatrace, ticker DT, they're acquiring BindPlane. Terms weren't disclosed. In terms of guidance news, STZ, they see comparable 2027 EPS 1120 to 1190, whereas in the street estimate had it at 1236. That's the downtick. In terms of shareholders meeting today, Dow Chemical, ticker DOW, David Oscar William, they're having a shareholders meeting today, starts at 8 a.m. In terms of catalyst calls, Citi adds KE Holdings, that's ticker BEKE, boy, Edward King, to its positive 30-day catalyst watch list. Okay, now we've got to move on, and we're going to talk about our pick of the day. And, I got to tell you something, but I do like Tesla. I think we could see some gains in Tesla this morning. They had news on a smaller, cheaper EV. It should really help drive the stock today. I mean, you look at yesterday's call volume, 1.9 million to 1.6 million, positive. Open interest, 3.9 million versus 2.7 million, again, positive. Stocks trading 343. 20 around that area. Listen, if it goes down to the 342 area, I got to pick some up. So I'm looking for a 342 print in front of it. But that's my pick of the day, Tesla, TSLA. Okay, let's move on. Let's talk about the stocks that are moving the market this morning. See if we get anything big happening. Oracle announces Fusion agentic applications for customer experience. Thermo Fisher TMO announces collaboration with Precision Health Unit. Iran's president said that Israeli strikes on Lebanon violated the ceasefire agreement. U.S. disagrees. CoreWeave, CRWV, announces a proposed $3 billion convertible senior notes offering. GoodRx, GDRX expands to access Lilly's new oral GLP-1 drug. The oral weight loss drugs are going to be a hit. Oxy, accidental petroleum oil discovered at Bandit Prospect in Gulf of America. Meta commits to spending an additional $21 billion with CoreWeave as AI costs keep rising. Costco reported March comparable sales up 9.41%. You know, this suggests strong membership growth. OpenAI said they're going to reserve a portion of their IPO shares for retail investors. American Airlines, the FAA said Wednesday that it's proposing a $255,000 civil penalty against the company for allegedly violating drug and alcohol regulations. That's all I'm seeing this morning. Okay, yesterday's pick of the day, Stars Constellation Brands earnings were positive, but the stock never hit, the stock never, fell and never really recovered and straightened lower on that guidance news, but the earnings were positive, but yeah, you can't get away, you had to get out of the way of this one, but it was a miss. But that concludes today's podcast. Traders, you know what to do. Let's go out there and let's make some green.